You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Hey everyone, welcome to another awesome episode of Ask Drone U. My name is Paul.
And I'm Rob, and you're listening to episode number 352. Thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully it's awesome.
That's the
goal.
It is a nice day out here, 90-degree weather.
Beautiful.
The sun is shining, and the wind is dead. And
the wind is finally starting to die down here in New Mexico.
2 months later, and the wind is dying.
It was a windy spring.
It really was,
Brutal.
yeah. It really, really was.
Of course, we say that every year, but always the year that you're in feels like the windiest year ever.
Well, I think if I didn't have an Inspire this year, working would have been much more difficult, and I'm just going to leave it at that. But anyway, guys, welcome to the show. Today we've got a great question concerning whether you should be using a still camera or an Osmo for your real estate shots, and we're very excited to talk about this. The question came in from one of our members in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yep.
Jerry from
Love
Atlanta.
Jerry.
Yes.
He's been with us from the beginning.
Jerry has been a member for a long time.
Yep.
We really appreciate that.
We do, Jerry.
But when you're continuing to learn, you keep the competitive advantage. So it makes sense. You know, I get it.
And it's cool because we've seen Jerry progress. And so now, I mean, these kinds of questions that he's asking here in this podcast, he definitely wasn't even thinking, a year ago.
Yeah, totally.
So it's been cool to see him move along.
Very cool. And guys, just want to remind you again, in June 15th, we've got a subject tracking course. It's a 1-day long course. We also have a lot of other things that we're giving away with that course. If you want to master complex flight movements while tracking subjects, you're going to want to go to that class. If you're interested, just email us, support@thedroneu.com. Let us know on Facebook, whatever that you're interested in. We will send you all the information on that. There's only a spot left, so if you're interested, you want to charge more money because you have better flight skill, this is a great way to practice those skills. We're only going to do this class once this year, and I'm very excited about it. Anyway, that being said, we're going to get right into today's question, which is brought to you by Legal Flyer. Are you a drone pilot? Are you operating under a Section 353 exemption? Then you may be familiar with Item 27, which requires you to get a property release for every flight over property.
Legal Flyer is an app for iPhone and iPad that helps you create professional property releases in less time than it takes to do a pre-flight check.
You can add your pilot info, you can sign it, hand it to the property owner for their signature. But wait a second. Legal Flyer's advanced integration automatically adds latitude, longitude, and even altitude.
Then add a panorama straight from the app. Everything drops into a single-page PDF you can share with a single tap. It's compliance at light speed. Visit LegalFlyer.com for more information or get it straight from the App Store. Legal Flyer. Property releases for professional drone pilots.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Rob. Hey, this is Jerry out in Atlanta. Hey, I have a question. I'm looking to get a camera for good still photography and indoors and stuff. Would it be better off me getting a GH4 with all the extra lenses and stuff, spend like $2,000 on that? Or would it be better, since I have the Osmo already and I have Inspire 1, would it be better just spending the $2,000 and getting an X5 and the adapter for the Osmo? That way I can use it off the Osmo, because I got the Luma Cube for lights and stuff. So I'm wondering, would that lens be better to get for still photography indoors? Is the X5 good indoor photography camera? I know I have to get some lenses and stuff for that too. I can get different lenses for that. But would it be better off just getting that X5? Or would you recommend getting like an GH4, like I said before, and all the lenses and all the equipment? So if I guess that's it. Sure would like to get some of those Inspire 1. Sorry about that. Some Inspire 1 filters. If you ever get any in. And I sure would like to get that year membership. But other than that, I love you guys' show. Like you said, I've been a long listener. I love you guys. And Paul, congratulations on your wedding. Now you're like Rob. You're slowly becoming like Rob. Now you're married, soon to have kids, and soon to be one of the bald bureau. Ha ha ha. Getting old, Paul. Getting old. See you guys.
Getting old. Ball and chain.
You're getting wiser.
Well, I mean, that's the goal, right?
That is the goal for
And-
sure.
But Jerry, thank you so much for that question. We greatly appreciate it. It's interesting. We actually chatted about this with Vic Moss, our aerial photography instructor here at Drone U. He's got a class coming out on the P4 here in August. But before we get to him, we kind of broke this down because he says he's looking to shoot stills.
Right.
He says, should I get the X5? Should I get the GH4? And kind of halfway through our conversation, I said, well, I'm not really sure the GH4 would even be a good option for a camera that shoots stills. I mean, it only takes 12 megapixel stills. It's really made, that camera is really made to be a video camera. That's why it shoots 4K video. But the benefit of if you were to get a GH4 is that all the lenses that you would use on a GH4, you could also use on an X5 if he were ever to upgrade.
Right.
That would kind of be the benefit. But he asked the question, I want to shoot indoor stills, and I'm focusing on stills because when it comes to video, in interior video, you've got to have a lot of light, but the Osmo is really, really, really good for video.
Sure.
But I would say this. I don't think the X5 is going to be good for stills, right?
Okay.
If you're doing real estate photography, you're doing bracketed shots, you're doing HDR, if you've got a dark room, you may even be doing bracketed shots with a longer shutter time or shutter exposure. So Osmo is not going to be the answer for you.
Well, that's not what it was designed for, right?
No.
So,
It was designed for video. So
Right.
if he's asking the question of, hey, I'm doing real estate videography, I would say, get the X5. I mean,
Right.
I even want an X5 right now, so
Sure.
That's not news to anyone. But that being said, I don't think the GH4 or the X5 would be your answer for stills. I mean,
well, you're a Sony guy. I think everybody knows that by now.
True, but what I've been learning with Sony is that if you pair Sony sensors to Canon glass, it's like the best of both worlds, especially with that 2470 Mark II Canon lens. It's a $2,500 lens, but I've never seen a zoom lens with as much sharpness as
Right.
that lens. So it is truly incredible in many ways. To answer his question, though, indoor photography with the X5, I'm going to say no.
Okay, so again, and we'll have Vic talk a little bit about this. We'll play some of the conversation with Vic, but
Why don't we just go into what Vic has to say really quick? What do you think about the X5 for interior photography?
I guess if you put the Olympus 12 on there, it would be okay. But I wouldn't.
Okay, why not?
The one thing you need it on a tripod.
Yeah.
You want to be able to get it level, which, I guess if you're going to put your Osmo on a tripod, I mean, worst case scenario, you're on site, the client says, oh, would you mind grabbing some stills while I'm here? Once you renegotiate your fee.
Yeah.
But if all you have is the X5 and, you've got the 12, maybe with the 15, but I would go with the 12. It's just a nicer lens. And odds are you're there for real estate anyway. So, in a pinch, you could use it. Especially if you're going to try and do a auto exposure bracket on it. Can you do that on the Osmo?
I'm pretty sure you can.
Can or cannot?
You can.
Can. Okay, sorry, couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
You know what? In a pinch, sure.
But
if you're
I guess
planning on,
I guess the question is
Go
though,
ahead.
not so much in a pinch, but if you've got someone who's like, oh, I'm wondering if I should buy the X5 or if I should buy, say, a GH4, which do you think is better? And the question was for interior stills, and I figured your answer would be like, well, for interior stills, the Osmo and X5 is not the way that you want to go. But
no, you don't want to shoot stills with an Osmo.
Yeah.
You really don't. I mean, it's doable, absolutely, but I wouldn't use it as a primary camera.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I mean, it's first of all, and I'm assuming we're talking real estate. I think that's probably a safe assumption. You're going to have a realtor with you, and you pull that little Osmo out, then they'll look at you and go, "What in the hell are you thinking?" What my answer to that would be both. If you've got a GH4, just put the Olympus body or lenses on it.
Yeah.
So just get a body that the Olympus lenses fit. That's what, $400, $500.
The GH4 is $1,200.
Really? Damn, that's expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's $1,200.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you can probably find a cheaper body that is going to be in a hell of a lot better shape than the Osmo as far as using. And you've got the same lenses.
Yeah.
So, I guess my answer is yes in a pinch, but no otherwise.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't market yourself as an interior shooter and whip out the old X5 with the Olympus on it. You'll get laughed at.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, will you do me a favor?
And I wouldn't even use it for interior video because you don't need it.
You would not use it for interior video?
No, I wouldn't.
Really? Why not?
I mean, well, for real estate, let me put it that way.
Okay.
I would not use an X5 strictly I wouldn't buy it for interior stills. And except for the fact that you can change lenses and change perspective, that would be the only real benefit to the X5 because you're not going to be shooting 99% of your real estate in 4K. At least I don't think so. I sure as hell wouldn't spend that kind of time doing that.
What I do, to be honest with you, if I'm shooting interior video, I do shoot 4K, but I always output 1080.
Oh, okay. So that way it gives you the cropping capabilities.
Yeah.
You can play with it in post.
Yep.
That's a benefit. So, my pet answer is going to be, is that your final answer? Yes. My final answer is no. Don't buy an X5 for interior stills. Cool. If it comes down to you can only afford one or the other, use your X5 till you get a couple points or get a couple to throw the Olympus lenses on.
Oh, you just totally cut out. So you're saying don't get the X5, get the GH4, use the Olympus lenses.
Yeah, get the if you can only afford one or the other, get the X5 for the Osmo, and then shoot a couple get a couple shoots under your belt, and as soon as you can, get that GH4, and you'll look a lot more professional. Mm-hmm. You can shoot both video and still with the Osmo if you have to.
Right. Yeah,
but,
that makes sense.
As a primary, absolutely no.
All right. Well, you say your name and why you're a badass photographer, so I can just put it in the podcast.
I should give it to Todd so he can tell why I'm a badass photographer because I'm not good at that. So, no, this is Vic Moss with Moss Photography out of Denver. We've been shooting architecture since 1988, so we've got one or two shoots under our belt.
That's when I was born, for everyone?
That's when you were born, that's right. I have underwear older than Todd. That does not go on the podcast.
No, it won't. Don't worry.
I don't care. I don't care. But yeah, it's our clients seem to think we're halfway decent at what we do.
Well, that's good. All right. Well, thank you, Vic, so much. I appreciate that. Thank you, Vic, so much for those kind words. We really appreciate it. Rob, what are your thoughts here?
Well, my thoughts are, I don't know. I mean, it really depends on how much is he going to do with stills ultimately, because it just seems like from where he's coming from and what we know about Jerry and what he likes to do, that it seems starting with the X5, from my perspective, is going to give him more versatility. Unless he can buy both, which Vic alludes to. He says just buy them both, right? Of course, that's easy to say. I don't know. Use a credit card, whatever. Do what you need to do to put yourself in a position to be able to do everything that you need to do on any given shoot.
Well, I think the idea here is that realtors are really sick of hiring a photographer and hiring a drone guy. They want someone to do videos and they want someone to do photos at the same times. And we're seeing more and more of that as the kind of the drone proliferation comes.
Sure.
And if you offer, video with photos, and I'm learning this now because, we're picking up new clients all the time. They want everything. They want photos.
Sure.
They want video. And personally, I hate taking the photos. I hate it. It takes so much time to edit it. The workflow is so much longer, and people are like, "How is workflow longer on stills than video?" I have a system for video, so I shoot the house a very specific way. I go in there. I mean, this is all in our real estate videography course. Go in there. I do everything the right way. Send everything off to Dropbox, organized, and 48 hours later, poof, it's done.
And there are people that would say the same thing about stills, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's just a matter of what one likes, what one enjoys, and clearly you're a video guy. I don't know. I mean, one of the things that was an interesting point that Vic brought up was the way that you're perceived when you walk in with the Osmo versus a fancy-looking camera.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting because I hadn't thought about that, but there's some truth to that.
The perception.
The perception, yeah, of the realtor and even potentially the homeowner of what could he possibly do that's going to help me on my $1 million listing with that little thing.
Well, it's, it's like when you bring a Phantom to a shoot versus when you bring an Inspire or a Big Bird to the shoot.
Yeah.
So
there's something to be said about that. But I don't know, from your perspective, I'm just going to say you might disagree with Vic and say to buy the camera as opposed to the X5 first, right?
Mm-hmm. You're saying that he should buy a camera before the X5.
That I'm saying that's what you would say. You're really torn?
Well, okay. Here's why I would do that. He
Okay.
said he already owns an Osmo, but just doesn't have the X5.
Okay.
So yes, my answer to him would be buy a still camera. My answer would not be to buy a GH4. That's not a still camera.
Right.
My answer would be, get a Canon 6D or get an Alpha 6000 Sony, or if you want 4K video and you want great stills, you can get the Sony A6300, which is $1,000. It's still cheaper than the GH4. Takes 24 megapixel shots. It's got interchangeable lenses, 4K video in body. There's a lot of benefits to that camera.
Well, and he's already got the Inspire.
Yeah.
We know that about Jerry. So he's got the X3,
If he has
which serves him well as it is.
Yeah, if you've
right?
got the Inspire, you've got the Osmo, and you don't have a still camera, it seems to me like the obvious answer here is a still camera. But in the aspect of if he didn't have an Osmo, my entire ideology would flip. I'd be like, get the Osmo Pro, with the X5.
Cool.
So I
All right.
think that's pretty simple.
So sort of narrowing all that in,
Woo!
get the 6300.
Yeah. Anyway,
Which is not anything about what he asked.
no.
That's
But-
okay.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to speak practically here,
Right.
from experience, and taking all that in. That's just so much to take in. I've got this exact situation. What should I do?
Right.
And I think that's the answer. But you heard it from Vic. You heard it from us. A little bit of a difference of opinions, and that's okay. That's why we have other professionals here, because we're not always going to agree. And I would take Vic's opinion on photography over mine any day. But when it comes to video, I'd flip that. So.
Well, and so let's just make clear then. I mean, I think Vic's ultimate point is if you're going to be doing stills, then don't use the X5.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, that's what he was saying.
That is exactly what he was saying.
So,
On that bombshell, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much. If you like this podcast, please leave us a review. Or if you want to learn more, maybe you want all of the material or all of our courses in one very easy and convenient place so you can learn as much as possible, become a more confident pilot, and use knowledge as power, then go to thedroneu.com and become a member. I think you may be surprised at just how cheap it is and the amount of value that you get. But that's why we're here. So if you like the podcast, you want to support us, become a member, well, you'll get even more. That's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul.
I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Drone U.
We believe that videos, images, words, and sounds have the absolute power to inform, inspire, and entertain. We reject indecision, confusion, and vanity, for they work against the community. We are united under the virtues of safety and knowledge. We are a training community of learners and teachers who encourage and energize each other to achieve greatness. We are pilots, videographers, photographers, freelancers, business owners, enthusiasts, experts, and apprentices. We are creators. We are the Drone U.